Welcome back, everybody, to your regularly scheduled program of Tuesday night Take Two podcast. We are your Frame brothers. I am Jameson Frame, accompanied by my brother Reed Frame. We are here to talk shop, everything NFL football, as always. Uh, Very big passion of ours for those who have been following so far. We live, breathe, and sleep football, so this is a joy that we get to do this every day. Uh, Tough loss last night, Reed. We were both Seahawks fans. That one hurt poorly. The one thing I did like about it is we were able to keep up with a team that is supposed to make a deep run in the playoffs, right? Lions are a really good team, and the Seahawks kept pace with them. Obviously, they were down two scores most of the game, but it gave me hope.
100%. Like I said, I think I keep coming back to this. The Lions I know I had in the Super Bowl. I don't remember if I had them winning or not. I know that I had them in the Super Bowl in our preseason predictions. So, being a Seahawks fan, I'm super happy with how they played with, I mean, two scores, I would say that's pretty good lead. If I'm two scores ahead, I'm pretty comfortable in that game. But the fact that we made that game competitive with the amount of defensive starters we had out, I think we had the entire starting defensive line out, and then I think we had Jerome Baker out. So that's a lot of defensive starters, and the defense looked honestly decent, right? I would rather have the defense that we saw there Monday night over like the Panthers defense or something like the worst team. I don't know what the worst defense in the league is, but I'd rather take that defense over some of the worst defense in the league. So it's not like we were horrendously bad without those starters. So I really like what I saw. The Seahawks kept up well, and the offense looked amazing. I mean, 38 first downs in a game is nothing to joke about.
I'd say the offense looked better than the defense. Um, Offense was clicking. We only punted twice, two or three times, something like that. The defense was kind of a sieve. I mean, we were allowing big chunk plays. Jared Goff went 18 for 18. That's insane. I guess to me, is this like the are the Lions getting going now? Was this the shot heard around the world? Like battling a Concord? I mean, are these guys just taking off now, just going for it?
You know, I think that was a kind of awakening call for the Lions. But I might call me a homer, but give me a rematch versus the Lions with those six or with those five defenders in, and I think it's a
Right.
totally different game.
I
I think it's a
100%
totally
agree.
different game.
Yeah, the Lions are a fun team to watch too. I mean, if this is them getting going, I mean, you can't not like them. I don't know what it is about them. I think it's just like the young team, everybody getting behind Dan Campbell. Um, I don't love that he goes for it as much as he does. Just personal problem of mine, but yeah, it was a fun game to watch for sure. Entertaining for even if you're not a fan of either team, it's very entertaining to watch. So
Definitely, it was a great game, high scoring too. So
yeah,
if you like offense, definitely a fun game to watch.
the one thing that I noticed, I don't know if it's this year or just that I've noticed in the past couple of weeks. I feel like this year's league is like closer competitiveness than like any year than I can think of in recent years, right? The really high end team, or I guess not even there aren't really any high end teams. Is kind of my point. The best teams in the league right now, I feel like, are very close in skill level or just how good the team is to the bottom end, lower end playoff teams right now. If that makes sense. So, like your current number one seed and your current number seven seed are closer in skill level right now than they have been in like previous years. There's no one team just kind of running away with the league as there has been, which is
Definitely.
great. But it's just kind of surprising that your Cowboys, your Eagles, your 49ers, your Chiefs, your Bills, your Ravens, like I feel like all teams have weaknesses this year and they're all kind of struggling in certain aspects of the game and it just kind of makes it, week to week you never know who's going to win. Makes it a lot more fun to watch.
I definitely agree. Like usually by this time in the league, we have a consensus for like best team, right? And now, if I were to ask you, who do you think the best team in the NFL is? Who would you say?
Man, it's hard. My first thought was Bills
Hmm.
and then my second thought was Ravens, but the Ravens have been too inconsistent. I don't know if I love them. So I guess I got to go with the Bills just because that was my where my brain just instantly went. Like they have a just high-powered offense. Their defense is good enough to keep them in games.
Yeah. My point there was you had to think about it, right?
Right, absolutely.
Like come last year this time, I probably would say this 49ers were like the consensus number one team
Absolutely.
in the league, right? And we really aren't seeing that. Like right there, you had to think about it. Right now I'm thinking about it. I don't want to say the Bills are the best team because I really don't think they are the best team in the league, but honestly, I'm thinking it's the best option. Like
Right.
every team has its weakness, even the Bills, right? Josh Allen, like you said, Josh Allen was going to have a terrible year. So far, it's actually been a pretty good year for him. Those receivers are looking out to be actually pretty good for him. I mean, I know they're a bunch of underrated guys, but they're looking pretty good. The Bills look good, and I think I'm going to have to agree with you that the Bills are probably the number one ranked. I would say are the best ranked team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of crapshoot. I mean, you got the teams like the Vikings who are still holding on to that 4-0 record. The Chiefs are up there too. I don't know how they're still doing with all the injuries on their team. Losing Rasheed Rice is going to be
Big
monstrous
loss.
for them.
Big loss.
There's some rumors going around that the Chiefs might try and go trade for a wide receiver. I think they kind of have to.
I mean, who's their number one now? Worthy?
Yeah, Worthy, Juju Smith.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
And Kelsey has not looked good this year. Kelsey's looked
He
terrible.
has looked old. He has looked old.
Yeah. Taylor Swift has not been good. Or
Taylor
Travis Kelsey, sorry.
Taylor Swift is yeah, I don't know what she's doing to him, but
Yeah. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, don't mean to glaze him as much as I don't like Patrick Mahomes. I think he's still leading that team. I think a team with Patrick Mahomes, I feel like they can't have a losing record.
yeah, I find it hard to believe that he would take him to a losing record. He just wins with whoever is around him. He's kind of like what Tom Brady used to do, right? You'd always look at Tom Brady's receivers and you're like, these are the guys he's winning with, and he just gets it done week in, week out. Just finds a way. You
Yeah.
can't hate on it. I mean, I guess you could hate on it.
Tom Brady football, man. Check it down 2 yard routes,
Brady football. You see, Devonte Adams is on the trade block. The
Yeah.
Raiders are kind of done with him.
Where do you think he lands?
Oof, I haven't even started thinking about that.
Well, you just
There's
mentioned a team that needs a wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't trade him to the Chiefs though.
I don't I
Interdivision
don't
trade.
I don't see Devontae Adams in a Chiefs jersey, if I'm being honest. I just
Commanders
ooh.
3-1. They don't. I mean, pair him with Terry McLaurin. 49ers are in. Nah, there's no way the 49ers would do that.
What
Rams need.
about I was just about to say, what about the Rams? They need a wide receiver. The Browns, I think the Browns would be a good landing spot.
I would
Yeah.
say the Panthers, but I don't think the Panthers would give up that much. I don't think he'd want to go there.
Panthers are in full rebuild mode. I don't think you would want to go get Devontae Adams, who no clue how old he is, but everyone knows he's towards the end of his career. Maybe 3 years left, right?
Screw it with the Bills.
Ooh, I like that.
They don't. I mean,
Yeah,
they don't have like a
they don't have a
insanely high
consensus.
number one. I
Yeah.
mean, he'd instantly come in and be their number one. Bills are
How
kind of on that verge of this is kind of our window. Our window's closing. If we're gonna make a run, we need to do it now.
definitely.
I kind
Yeah,
of like that. I kind of like the Bills take there.
Devontae Adams to the Bills.
That'd be fun. It'd be fun to watch. Josh Allen and Devontae Adams.
Think about that fantasy wise, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. That'd be
That'd be
dangerous.
money. That'd be
Yeah,
money.
would be
That
dangerous.
would be money. It's definitely.
Trade him to the Packers.
No, no, that can't happen. I hate the Packers.
They have so many young receivers. They wouldn't dare give up equity for a older receiver. Just wouldn't make sense logically wise.
Yeah. Um, let's go. I want to turn to rookies here.
All right,
Who is your guy for offensive rookie of the year so far?
Jane Daniels.
Yeah.
I said it before the season. I'll keep riding it. He's been lights out. I don't even know who
Here's
would be second.
second.
Like,
Malik Neighbors.
oh yeah, yeah, good call. I forgot how good of a season he's having.
He's having a nasty
He's
season.
he is looking really good.
He might overtake Jaden Daniels if he keeps that up.
No, Jaden Daniels is doing crazy work over there.
Yeah, but let's just say something happens. Malik Neighbors is right. I would say he's closer than you're giving him credit. Malik Neighbors is putting together a good season.
I don't get me wrong, I'm a big Neighbors fan. He was one of the wide receivers I loved coming out of this draft. Yeah, I mean, unless something happens to Daniels, like he regresses, the
Mhm.
team starts doing badly, injury, something like that. I just don't see him uprooting. The quarterback position just has a advantage when it comes to any, award. It's just like because the position
Yeah,
is so valuable that every time it's just like people
that
outrank it versus a wide receiver. So
that's how that works, right? I just
yeah.
Malik Neighbors has faced. They've played four teams. He played Minnesota, who doesn't have a good corner. They've played Washington, who doesn't have good corners. They played Cleveland, who Denzel Ward, their number one corner.
Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome.
Yeah.
Does that
And
sound
then
right?
they just played Dallas, which he ran against a wide receiver playing corner. And I think,
Trevon
yeah,
Diggs.
yeah. So don't call me a homer, but he's facing his real test this week. Either Tariq Woolen or Devon Witherspoon, who are absolute dogs. All right. Amazing Seattle defense. So I think Malik Neighbors is going to have to prove
Um,
himself this week.
amazing.
It's a good defense.
Daniel Jones might go 18 for 18.
I'm not even going to respond.
We, you're hyping up the Seahawks corners, and they didn't even stop a one pass this last game.
There's no pass rush.
There was no pass rush. Yeah, well,
I
there were
did.
two sacks, one of them for safety.
That's true. That's true. Derek Hall was the only starter on that defensive line.
He looked pretty good though.
He's been looking amazing. Oh, now we're talking about the Seahawks.
Yeah, we
Oh,
got to get off. All right, yeah, that's
oh
we'll go down a
no.
rabbit hole there. We'll never come back out of that one.
Yeah, but Malik Neighbors looking really good. Jay Daniels looking really good. Now I want to turn the defensive rookie of the year. This I think is much harder.
Oh, defensive rookie of the year. Mm, Latu.
That's the only name that comes to my mind.
I'm trying to think of anybody else who's even playing well. All the corners are struggling. Byron Murphy hasn't done much. He's also been hurt this one last game. Latu has a couple sacks under his belt. Dallas Turner looked good. I don't know if he has a sack yet or not.
Another name to pull up Jared Verse,
Garrett Verse. I don't know. I haven't been following much of him. I haven't heard his name a whole lot this season. I don't know what his stats look like.
but there really hasn't been a dominant defensive rookie this year.
No, no, not nobody standing out like Sauce
Will
Gardner or Devin Witherspoon. Anybody who's kind of just no questions asked. So
Will Anderson won it last year, so I don't know why you said Devon Witherspoon. He got
I mean, he was
robbed,
in
of
the running.
course. He
I'm a
got
Seahawks
robbed.
fan, so homework call was easy for me. I'll admit it.
He was robbed.
That's right.
He should have won that. Yeah, but defensive rookies, I don't want to say they're bad. I think they're definitely making impacts. I just don't, there's just not really anyone being dominant.
I agree. I mean, it's still early, right? We're talking week 4. There's still a lot of football left to be played. A lot of people working their way into rotation, still learning. I'm sure some of them are still learning the playbook and still getting ramped up, still getting more reps, still getting more opportunities. Um, I always go back to Seahawks examples because they're easy for me. I just know more about them. But look at players like Boye Mafe and Derek Hall making the bigger jump in their second year versus their first year. That's happens with a lot of players. So you always have those guys that are first round draft picks. They just needed a year to come out. I mean, they're all young people, so a lot of
Definitely.
stuff to them. But yeah, I would agree. There's nobody dominant that's sticking out as a front runner right away.
For sure. I totally agree.
Do the one quiz I wanted to to give you.
Oh no.
It's not really a quiz. Could you name me the top five quarterbacks in fantasy this year so far?
In fantasy,
Fantasy wise.
Baker Mayfield,
He's number three.
Sam Darnold,
Number four.
Derek Carr.
No, he's not in there. Not even top 10.
Is Gino up there?
Gino is not up there.
Eh.
Oh, he's eight. Well, he's not top five, but he's
He's not
eight.
top five. Top. All right. Josh Allen,
Josh Allen is five.
five. So I
So you have
have
one and two
one
left.
and two.
Think about how fantasy scores work, right?
Hmm. Lamar.
Number two,
Really? Who's number one? It's not Mahomes, right? No. Who's been lighting it up without any picks? I'm on the right track there, right? Lighting it up with
come on,
any
you know
without.
his name.
I know his name. Jaden Daniels.
Rookie of the year, yeah. Number
There
one
we go.
quarterback in fantasy.
Jaden Daniels. Guess who owns him in our league, Jay?
Oh yeah, I own him in the other one, so can't hate too much, I guess.
Jaden
It's just
Daniels is a
it's
dog.
wild to me that Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Jaden Daniels top five. Jaden Daniels, I guess, is less surprised just because of the rushing yards and the rushing value. That's
Hmm.
why I tried to give you that hint, how the more rushes you have, the more points and how easily it is to score. Plus, Jaden Daniels has like three rushing touchdowns, four rushing touchdowns, something like
Yeah, it's
that.
insane. He's like a rushing touchdown a game.
Right. So, I mean, his value just spiked there. Number six is Justin Fields.
What?
It's
Wow.
it's a pretty crazy year
Yeah, that's now I want to talk MVP. Who's your MVP?
right now.
Yeah,
Josh Allen, probably.
I'm going Sam Darnold.
I don't know. He's throwing too many picks.
They're
Like,
winning
like,
though.
like look at this game against the Packers, for example, right?
Xavier
He had a
McKinney's a
good
dog.
game, but I think he threw two picks.
Xavier McKinney's a dog.
Right, which no discredit to Sam Darnold, no discredit to the Packers defense, but I'm as big of a Sam Darnold fan as the next guy. But if you're throwing interceptions and allowing the Packers to get back in the game when you could have just slammed the door shut on them,
Yeah, it's just part of the script.
my vote probably is Josh Allen at this point. He's kind of carrying the team, putting them on their back. Anytime they need a big play, it's either him scrambling around, extending the play, finding a somebody, or he takes off and runs and he gets it. Like that's just kind of how their offense works, which is why getting Devontae Adams would be
Help
huge for that offense.
would definitely help them.
Or send him to Washington, help Jaden Daniels.
Just Jaden Daniels Glazer over here, aren't we?
I'm a huge fan of Jaden.
You know who I'm a huge fan of? Sam Laporta, and he's not having the best year.
No tight end is having the best year.
Sam Laporta is going to lock in here after this bye, and he's going for 200 yards.
I'll ask you another question.
I was kidding about that,
Through
by the way.
through week three, so not including this past week,
Week three.
what tight end has scored over 8 points each week? Fantasy points.
Over 8 points.
Yes.
Can I get a conference?
It's a trick question. No tight end did it.
Oh.
There's not a single tight end that scored more than 8 points in all 3 weeks to start the season.
So oddly enough, my first guess was going to be like Evan Ingram.
I was gonna guess like Brock Bowers,
Oh, he's been lighting it up.
but not even really. He had like six
No.
points week one. He had 10 week two, and then he had four week three, three last week. And he's still like tight end three.
Yeah, like Tucker Kraft. I think he had like a 16-point game, and now he's like tight end eight. And he had like 3 points for the other weeks.
Yeah, he had four or 3.7, 1.6, 2.4, and then he had 11.3. He's tight end nine.
Yeah, tight end
He's
9.
a top 10
Off
tight end
off of
off of
that.
1 week.
Yeah.
That is how invaluable tight ends are.
That's how why we saw Travis Kelce be so dominant. In his prime, right? If Travis Kelce was putting up 17 points, that was amazing at the tight end position. Now that
Yep.
Travis Kelce's not there, do we even need a tight end in the fantasy slot anymore? Do we
Well,
need to
that's
go?
why. Well, that's why your tight end premiums are becoming so much more
Hmm.
valuable. You get a
Yeah.
point and a half, or even some leagues do it like 2 points per catch, just to try and give tight ends some kind of value. But I mean, you look at the average per week. George Kittle is basically tight end one if you went by average with 9.4, but he missed week three. Your next best is 7.5, Dallas Goedert. You're saying tight end, the drop from tight end one to tight end two is 2 fantasy points per week, and you're only getting 7.5 fantasy points out of your tight end two. Like your
Yeah,
tight ends
that's
aren't getting you very. If you're getting 5 to 10 points, you're like, this is a good week. We're getting something.
yeah. Yeah. Like right now you're making me think like, hey, do I need to start caring about my kicker and my defense more than my tight end? Because like
You do.
Jason Sanders was my kicker this week and he put up 11. That's
Yeah.
great. I was happy with
You're
that.
if you're basically your top, I just went over to kickers. Your top 10 kickers, so a 10-man fantasy league, right?
Hmm.
If your kicker is not getting you 10 points, you're doing something wrong. Because you have Brandon Aubrey, I mean, he's a cheat code as a kicker. He's averaging 15 a week right now. Then your second best is 12.8.
With who?
Chris Boswell
He's
doing a
been
lot
a
of kick,
dog.
doing a lot
He's
of
been a
kicking for the
dog.
Steelers. Yeah. But it trickles down, right? And then you get down to um, eight, which is Young Hoku at 10.3. And then you got the Packers kicker, Navarison, 9.8. So the number nine kicker is getting just under 10 fantasy points. So essentially you're basically banking on your kicker to get you 3 more fantasy points a week than your tight end. So yeah, I would say at this point, kickers are more valuable than tight ends.
Definitely. I agree.
So
That's
trade a
that's weird.
kicker.
That's super weird. Yeah, of course the sleeper kicker finders preaching that, but
You think I could trade Brandon Aubrey
no.
for any tight end I wanted, 1 for 1
In a redraft or dynasty?
in Dynasty?
No.
Why not?
In a dynasty,
Yeah,
I'm
he's
not
younger.
taking Brandon Aubrey for Sam Laporta.
Why?
Because Sam Laporta is at least he's gonna give me at least I have a tight end that's viable for the next 4 years.
Kickers
Brandon,
last longer than tight ends.
maybe.
What do you mean?
We don't know what the Cowboys offense is gonna be looking like next year. I know Sam Laporta is gonna be at least a in the offense at the Lions for next year at least.
He'll be their kicker. Just because they kick less field goals doesn't mean Sam Laporta's not getting less targets.
What?
So Brandon Aubrey is going to be on the Cowboys next year as their kicker, right? Even if they
Yeah.
kick less field goals, he's still on their team. He's still their kicker.
Hmm.
Sam Laporta is getting less targets, less catches, less fantasy points. Brandon Aubrey right now is 2 times as valuable on a weekly basis, helping you win games as Laporta.
You're right. But then now I'm going into like roster depth though. Then who am I gonna be putting at my tight end spot?
Anybody to get you 5 points because that's league average.
It's true. It's
At this
true.
point, kickers are harder to find between the best and the average. Tight ends they're all kind of a dime a dozen. Pick one up, throw them in your spot. Hopefully, you get 4 or 5 points out of them, and you know what I mean. Your point difference between you who you're playing is probably 4 points at most. The difference between you having the best kicker versus somebody having an average kicker, you're looking at like a 5 to 6 point spread. So therefore, he'd be more valuable.
All right. I have a question for a redraft league here.
All right.
If you have Brandon Aubrey, is it worth keeping him on your bench for 1 week on his bye week and
Yes.
going to go? It's worth it?
Yes. If you have
Okay.
a kicker averaging 15 fantasy points a week, Most wide receivers don't even get that. I'm stashing him on my team. I'll cut a running back a backup or even a starting running back who's getting me 10 fantasy points a week. I'll keep the kicker.
Hmm.
Specifically for Brandon Aubrey. If we're talking Chris Boswell, one step down, probably not.
You wouldn't do that for Chris Boswell.
No.
Hmm. Okay. Got the sleeper kicker finder expert giving you advice on kickers.
And I don't typically that's a change in a rule for me. Typically I'm the regardless of who my kicker is, I'm dropping them on a bye week. I don't care. I'm changing kickers every week. I'm changing defenses every week. Just how I play the game. They're not that important to me. But with the season that Brandon Aubrey's having and how often the Cowboys kick field goals and make field goals, it's just value. Play the value game.
100%. All right. I guess we should bridge into more kicker stuff.
Love it.
Streamer kickers of the week.
Of the week.
Yeah,
I can look at matchups this week.
I'm looking at them
So
too.
I've been liking the Saint train. I did this a couple years back when I first got that sleeper kicker finder name.
Hmm.
The Saints are kind of back on the bend but don't break defensive train. I mean, they just played the Falcons. Young Hoku had what, like 4 field goals in that game, and the Falcons have a pretty decent offense. The Chiefs play the Saints this week, down another starting receiver. I mean, Harrison Butker's kind of a you got to start him anyways, just because of how powered their team is. But I have a feeling that Harrison Butker could go off this week, fantasy point wise, just with
Definitely.
playing the Saints in that team. So kind of not really a surprise, but just a trend that I was trying to jump on.
The matchup that's kind of flashing lights at me here is the Broncos Raiders.
Really? For which
I
side?
think I think both. I think both of them are just going to be like either it's going to be. I think they're just going to get down. And it's going to be bend, but don't break for both teams. Like they're both mediocre teams, right? So for me,
Do
I think it's going to be a kicking game.
you have a preference? Which one you'd rather have?
Probably the
Just
Broncos.
like the
Broncos.
Broncos.
I don't know who the kicker
Trust
is.
Bo Nix to get down into field goal range, but don't trust him to punch it in.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. If if the Seahawks are down those same 3 defensive linemen, the you got Leonard Williams, you got Byron Murphy, and you got who's the third one? Or is it just those two?
Boye Mafe,
Boy Mafe. If
Uchenna
they're down,
Nwosu.
if they're down all 3 of those guys again, I would like is it Graham Gano, the
Yeah,
Giants kicker?
I believe so.
Because I think the Seahawks are kind of going to go with the bend but don't break mentality. I think they're going to get diced up through the air and the middle part of the field, and then once they get closer to the end zone, I think they're going to kind of stiffen up. So I could see, and this is specifically for if those players are out, then I could see Graham Gano being a pretty decent scoop against the Seahawks.
I
The other
can
one
get
that
that.
sticks out at me right now is the Colts kicker.
I was thinking that too.
That one just jumped off the page at me too. Jaguars have been pretty god awful this year, which is kind of surprising, but
Very surprising.
I could see the Colts kicker. I don't even know who their kicker. Matt Gay. That sound right?
Sounds right.
Might
I
be
don't
him.
know. I'm no kicker expert. Yeah. What about defenses? I'm asking about defenses, but I really want to know how do you think the Bears defense is going to do against the Panthers?
I defenses are hard for me. I struggle with picking up defense. I took to put it in perspective. I picked up the Dolphins defense against the Titans this week. They got
Yikes.
diced up. So I'm not an expert when it comes to picking up defenses in any sense of the word. You're specifically asking about the Bears defense. Is there a
Because
reason you like the Bears defense?
I was just about to say I like the Bears defense. Andy Dalton has kind of been cooking with that Panthers offense,
Right.
but I think something. I can't give you a reason, if I'm being honest. But something's telling me Jalen Johnson's getting a pick. And I think it's going to be a low scoring game.
All right. I guess I don't hate it. I'm not seeing a specific matchup that I really like. I forgot there's bye weeks to start this week, isn't
Yeah, Lions and
there? Yeah.
who's the other
Who else?
team?
Chargers? Yeah, I'm not seeing the Chargers on here.
I know the Lions for sure. I got Sam Laporta on my team, that's why. I think Chargers figure it out.
But you think Bills Texans game of the week?
Texans. The Texans haven't been as good as I thought.
Bill Texans are at home, so that should help.
Bills have been pretty good. I don't know. It'll be a good game.
Otherwise,
I can't,
Packers Rams, I could
give
see
me
being a good
Falcons
game too.
Bucks. Falcons Bucks.
I am excited for that one on Thursday night. I could that game is gonna go one of two ways. It's either gonna be kind of like the Seahawks Lions, where it's kind of a shootout,
Hmm.
or it's just gonna be like the complete opposite, where it's like, I don't know, 14 to 6, 17 to 10, something like that. Just kind of a defensive brawl out of nowhere. I mean, you
Hmm.
get two defensive minded head coaches, but both offenses or the Buccaneers offense has been cruising, and then Kirk Cousins is I don't know how has Kirk Cousins been the last couple of weeks. I feel like the Falcons have been really quiet.
Yeah, they haven't done much. Like they haven't been. I haven't heard their name very often. NFL teams on a Week 5 bye are the Eagles, Titans, Chargers, and Lions.
Okay,
Just looking that up.
well, yeah. All right, cool. Sorry to those fans. That's a really bye. I hate to have that bye.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins, he did pretty poor last week. He had an alright game against the Chiefs, and then of course the game I was hyping up for was the Eagles game where he played really well. So I would say he's been just mediocre.
Shocking.
I would say Kirk Cousins is probably the definition of an average QB.
He's definitely showing it. I think Kirk Cousins needs Kevin O'Connell a lot more than Kevin O'Connell needs Kirk Cousins, huh?
Clearly, Sam Darnold's lighting it up.
Yep. I think my new strategy with looking at rookies, I'm sure this has been around forever, and it's just me coming on late to the party. And we kind of touched on this last week too, with just the whole offensive coordinator thing or offensive minded coach.
Mhm.
Just find a quarterback or a rookie quarterback going into a good situation, and there's your rookie of the year. Might just be my new thing.
What do you mean by good situation? Like good coach or just
Like
good like?
a good system around him, a system, a scheme.
But then I could argue Bo Nix.
I am not a big fan of Sean Payton. I don't think Sean Payton is good as everybody thinks he is.
Okay,
Like I would argue Jaden Daniels is doing more with less.
I would disagree.
How?
Commanders running back compared to Broncos running back? Give me Brian Robinson. Wide receiver one to
But
wide
not by
receiver one.
much. I mean, Javonte Williams isn't bad.
He's got a fumbling problem. Wide
Yeah.
receiver one to wide receiver one. Give me Terry McLaurin over Cortland Sutton.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, like, who's the Commanders number two? Noah Brown, Diami Brown, Luke McCaffrey.
I think Luke McCaffrey probably.
I guess Broncos is what, Lil Jordan Humphreys.
Give me Luke
Both of these
McCaffrey.
teams kind of suck. How are the Commanders 3-1? Zach
Yeah,
Ertz versus
couldn't
Greg Dortch.
couldn't tell you. Greg Dortch has been terrible this year.
Yes. I remember thinking he was going to be my tight end of the future, Greg Dortch, a couple of years
Yeah.
back.
He's not been anything.
All right, that was a bad take. I just running through the Broncos offense. That team kind of sucks.
That team's horrendous.
Well, if they get the first overall pick, they could go up and scoop Travis Hunter, start him both ways.
Travis Hunter is not playing wide receiver in the NFL.
You think he plays corner?
I think he plays corner. He went to school to play with Deion Sanders, who is arguably the best corner of all time. He didn't go to school to go play for a wide receiver that's coaching. I don't know if there is one, to be fair, right? He went to school
Ohio
to
State.
be, yeah, right. He went to school to work or to be under one of the best DBs of all time. He's going to be playing corner in NFL.
You think it hurts his draft stock or helps it?
I think it helps. I think he's a better corner than he is a wide receiver.
I'd have to watch some game tape of him. I've seen a couple games. I don't watch him all that closely. I would almost think. I guess when was the last time a wide receiver got drafted like top five versus a corner? That's a good point. All right, I can see it. You said
Yeah.
I still I guess I don't. It's so hard to guess if he's gonna go first
Oh,
overall.
wait,
Just
we're
'cause-
we're idiots. We're idiots.
what?
Marvin Harrison.
Oh yeah,
We
third overall
we are dumb.
last year. That's a good look for the podcast.
Oh boy.
Good work, everybody. We'll get our team on that one.
Yeah, that was rough. I'm sitting here thinking I was like, well, there had to been like a receiver going top five, right? Because like first corner that comes to my mind that was top five is Devon Witherspoon.
Uh, Derek Stingley,
Devon Witherspoon
Alex
was
Gardner, I think.
Devon Witherspoon was most recent though.
Correct. I mean,
Yeah.
I can name more corners that have gone
Yeah.
top five than I can
Oh yeah.
receivers.
Besides Marvin Harrison, tell me another wide receiver that's gone top five.
Recently, I don't know if I can name one.
I don't think I can't.
It's always quarterbacks, offensive linemen, or defensive edges, like edge rushers.
It's usually quarterbacks, edges, linemen,
Those are your basically the
corner,
three most valuable positions,
and
honestly.
then you got a corner. Probably is next. Yeah. Quarterback's usually the consensus number one, unless you're in the Kenny Pickett draft class.
Right. I mean, that kind of goes back to what I was talking about with the rookie of the year, right? Or just the quarterback
Any
position is so much
award.
more valuable. Everybody overhypes it and whatnot.
It's valuable. I mean, you probably would say you probably need at least a decent quarterback to win the Super Bowl. So,
And the 13% rule.
but that's why I said decent.
You have any you still liking the Lions to win the Super Bowl this year, or do you kind of
Yeah,
change your pick?
I like the Lions. I think everything's there for the Lions. Aiden Hutchinson is a dog, man. Just
He
watching
looked
that
really
game, Aiden
good.
Hutchinson disrupts everything.
He looked really good.
I think Tron Arnold,
He's
he's
looked
a he's looking good. He just needs to stop holding. It's
a
really
lot
my
of
only
those
critique on
penalties
him.
were a little soft in my opinion, but
He's a very physical corner, and that's good to see. Some of them are holding, some of them are not. I agree with you there, but don't hold and you'll never get a call. That's my opinion.
what was the other team that you had going to the Super Bowl? Was it Texans?
I think it was Texans Lions, and I think I had the Lions winning.
I still think the Texans could get there. I still had them. I had them win the Super Bowl, so I was really high on them. Like I said, like what I started off the podcast saying that the tie end teams versus the lower end playoff teams right now are so close in skill level and how they're playing. Anything could really happen at this point. I think it's gonna be hard to guess how the playoff seeds are gonna end up being. But I still like the Texans. I think they can rally behind Miko Ryans and pull it through.
Is there anybody's season that's over right now? That are already counted out, you'd say?
Panthers, Broncos.
Jags?
No, see the problem with the Jags is they always have like the glimmer of hope because they have the Trevor Lawrence effect, right? Which
But
I don't know. This dude has got
one overall
right.
effect.
He's been given. I don't even want to say like saying he's been given so much leeway would imply that he's played poorly, but in reality, he's just played very average.
Kirk Cousins. He's literally the next Kirk
Right.
Cousins.
He's not great.
He's
He's
not
like just
bad.
good enough to keep his job, but not bad enough to have anybody even try and get another quarterback to compete with him. But everybody like still is like, oh, like it's Trevor Lawrence though. He's undefeated in college. He was supposed to be like the prince or whatever, the next up and
Hey,
coming.
I'm that guy. All right. I am
You
that guy.
still really like him that much?
You went to Clemson.
No, who cares where they went?
I'm a Clemson fan, dude. The only Clemson player I don't like is Deshaun Watson for obvious reasons.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Cleveland Farrell's not turning on pretty
All
decent.
right. People don't know this. I loved Cleveland Farrell and out of the draft. Don't know how he went so high. I think he went like eighth overall. He should not
Well,
have
that was
gone
the
that
whole
high.
John Gruden time where they just, I don't even know what they were doing. All of their draft picks were terrible. They all turned out like crap.
Yeah, Cleveland Farrell, he didn't turn out. Fair enough. He shouldn't have gone that high in the first place. I was hoping the Seahawks were going to get him, and they were drafting at like 22. That's where he was projected to go. But low key glad that we didn't get him. He's terrible. Some draft picks hit, some people don't.
That's how it goes.
It's why we watch the NFL.
That's what makes the NFL so great.
It really is. I think with that, it's kind of our last point of the night.
Yep.
So thank you guys for watching. Finally got back on schedule here, back on Tuesday nights. So definitely can count on us now that we're back on schedule. But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, leave your comments, judging us for our bad takes, good takes, whatever. Don't forget to leave a like. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Peace out.